Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Cow. And if you've watched my introduction video, introduction to corner to corner, to doing corner to corner graphs, then you will know that this is what we're making today, the paw print c2c. I have actually just finished filming this, so this is the end result of that tutorial. Now I will tell you it's a long tutorial. I have said that I'm going to take you through step by step the whole way. It is a big square, it's 25 by 25 across, so it's something like 600 blocks or something, if my math serves me right. About 600 blocks. Each of these is a block, so that's a lot. So it is long. I have split it into parts. I will hopefully have in the description box below the timings of when we do the first colour change, when we start to decrease. Okay, so if you are familiar with corner to corner but not with doing a graph, and you know how to do the basic stitches, and you just want to know when and how to colour change, and then just have a look in that link below, description box below, and it should tell you when we start to colour change and when we start to decrease. Okay, so you can follow that. The decreasing will not be on this video, it will likely be on a subsequent video. So anyway, all the details of the different videos and parts will be in that description box below. Right now I need to edit the video, and I'm not quite sure how many parts it's going to be, probably about 3. The only other thing to tell you is that this will take some time. So I would encourage you to not try and do it all in one sitting. That you do it at least over a couple of evenings or afternoons, whatever. Take your time. It's not a race, so just take your time, because it will take some time to do. Here's my graph. Now this one's been all written on, and you will see further through the video when I talk about it and everything. This is my graph after I've been working with it. So for a copy of this, you will need to visit the Facebook group, and there is a link in the description box below as well for the Facebook group, where you can do save a copy of the graph, or you can print it out. So you may find a copy of this useful. I mean, I will be taking you through every single block, so you don't actually have to have a graph, but if you have a copy of the graph, then you can see where we're at, you can see what we're doing, and you can mark them off yourself as well, and start to learn to read the graphs for yourself, which will help you in the future. So that is all I've got to say right now. Let's get started with this amazing square and grab a cup of tea. Okay, so let's get down to the practical now. You want to start with a slip knot on your hook, and I like to leave a nice long end for sewing in, because corner to corner blocks you need to sew in a bit differently to your regular stitches, so I like to leave a nice long tail. Okay, and then you want to chain 6. Oh, the only other thing to say is there's a thing that we call increasing and decreasing for corner to corner, and all the way up from this square 1 up to row 25 we increase. Okay, when you get to this 25, this row 25, that is then when it starts to get smaller. Okay, so you can see here it's getting larger and larger and larger, and then from here it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So we are increasing our rows right now. So row 1 will be 1 block, row 2 is 2 blocks, row 3 is 3, 4 is 4, all the way up to row 25. Row 25 is 25 blocks, and then we get to row 26 when it will be 24 and then 27 will be 23 blocks, and it will go down by 1 block every time. Okay, so to start our rows, which we are increasing, we are going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, 6 chains on your hook. Let me zoom in. Okay, 6 chains on your hook, and what we are going to do now, it's gone all blurry. Okay, 6 chains, and into the 4th chain from the hook you want to do a double crochet. So this is the US terms double crochet. So yarn over, insert into that hook, into that chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then a double crochet into the next 2 chains. So it's your 2nd double crochet and a 3rd double crochet into that 3rd last chain. And there we go. So you now have a chain 3 and 3 double crochets. That is your first block. Okay, so I'm going to mark this square off. So I'm just going to put a line through there. I've done square 1. Okay, so row 2, we can see here we have 2 white. So we're going to be increasing again. So chain 6. I like to chain 3, put my thumb on that 3rd, and then do another 3. And then I know that this is the chain that I need to work into, because I have 3 chains here. This is the 4th, and I'm going to do a double crochet into there, and then a double crochet into the next, and a double crochet into the last chain. So we have a block now that's just like the first one we made. We have a chain 3 and we have 3 double crochets. Now we need to join these together. So you've got 2 blocks like this side by side. What we're going to do is take this block here, the first one we made, we're going to flip it up, and here is your chain 3. And in this space here, you're going to insert your hook and you're going to make a slip stitch. So I'm going to show you that once more. You've got your 2 blocks here, and you need this one up beside this. Okay, so you're going to flip it up, pop your hook into that chain space, and make a slip stitch, just like so. So now those 2 blocks are side by side, and now we're just going to do the block to do the second in our row of 2. So we don't need to chain 6 this time, we just need to chain 3, because each block ends with a chain 3 and 3 double crochet. So this chain 3 here mimics this chain 3 here. Okay, so chain 3, and then we're going to do 3 double crochet like we have 3 here over this chain. Okay, so yarn over and insert, yarn over, pull through, and do your double crochet, and then do 2 more over and in that chain space, and there you will have, now as the previous blocks, you have a chain 3 and 3 double crochets. Okay, so I'm going to show you that again. So mark these 2 off for row 2, and now row 3 has 3 blocks of white. So we're going to increase, so chain 6, sorry, and then we're going to do a double crochet in that 4th chain from the hook, and then a double crochet in the next 2 chains. And there you have your chain 3, camera focus, chain 3 and 3 double crochets. So now we need to bring these blocks up to meet this block. So as we did before, you're going to flip these blocks up. Okay, so these blocks flip up, and you can see this block is going next to this one. So you're going to insert your hook into this chain 3 space. Okay, so these come side by side. Insert your hook into that chain 3 space and do a slip stitch. Okay, so there's your first block of this row 3, and now because you're doing the inside blocks or internal blocks, I like to fold this one down out of the way, and then you're going to chain 3. Okay, so this is your chain 3, just like the chain 3 on the end, and then 3 double crochets over this chain. There we go. Okay, so there's your block, chain 3 and 3 double crochet. Now you want to join this block to the one next to it. So we don't need to flip it up, it's already there. We just need to go straight into the chain space and do a slip stitch. Okay, and that's now side by side. So again, we're going to chain 3 and then 3 more double crochets over this chain. So there we go, chain 3 and 3 double crochets, and you can see here you have 3 steps, or well, it looks like steps. They're your 3 blocks for row 3, and if you count down the side you have 1, 2, 3, and this way you have 1, 2, 3, and that's just how it should be for row 3. So I'm going to mark off row 3 here, and now if you look at this, this is not going the way this is going. This is coming down here this way, but this is going this way. So what we need to do is determine which is the front, which is the back, which is the top, and which is the bottom. So I'm going to grab a stitch marker, and then I'm just going to show you what I like to do. Okay, now this pattern isn't too complicated, okay, and you could probably work it out where you are. When you get into doing big graphs or complicated graphs, it might be that you need to pop this down a lot, and then you need to pick it up and you're like, oh, which way am I? So what I like to do is, while I know which way up I am, so we know that we're on row 3, so, and our steps will be coming down this way. So if I turn this, this is now coming down the right way. Okay, the other way of knowing is where you have your beginning tail, it will be coming out to the right, and your first block, if you look, they alternate. You have horizontal stitches here, sideways, and then upright, and then sideways. So every row alternates, so you've got sideways and then upright and then sideways, and then the next row will be upright. Okay, so what I like to do is your first block will be sideways and your tail coming out to the right. What I like to do is just going through the front of these stitches. So I've got no stitch marker on the back there. Just through the front, I like to pop a stitch marker so that I know at any time this is the bottom right hand square. I can get my pin done up, there we go. So this could get tossed about, and it could be bigger, and I could look at it, oh, where's the front, where's the front? There we go, there's the front. Oh no, need to turn it. Okay, and I know that's the bottom right hand square, so that's quite handy to do. Okay, so let's start with row 4. So the other thing to tell you about these is I've made myself a note here, odd rows, work down, even rows, work up. So we did row 1, and then row 2 we went upwards. Okay, we did this block and then we did this block, we went upwards. Row 3 we then did at the bottom, so we started at the top and came down. So row 3 we worked downwards, and this is handy when we start changing colours, okay, that we know which direction we're going, whether we're following these colours first or these colours first. Okay, so we're going to start going up for row 4. Okay, so we're going to increase the row again. I'm going to show you this once more, and then I'm going to leave you to do the next few rows on your own. Okay, so row 4, we are doing 4 blocks of white. So the first one we need to increase. We're going from 3 to 4. So chain 6, double crochet in the the 4th chain from the hook, and double crochet in the next 2 chains. Okay, and then this part again, we want to join this to this. Okay, this block to this block. So as before, we're going to flip these blocks up and next to. Okay, so flip up and next to, and pop your hook into that chain space that's right next to it. Okay, and then you're going to do your internal square or block, so just a chain 3, and then 3 double crochet over this chain. There we go, there's your block completed. So we've done 1 and 2, and now it's time for the 3rd block. So just come across and slip stitch into the next block. Again, chain 3, 3 double crochet over that chain space, and then slip stitch into that chain space of the next block. Chain 3 and 3 double crochet over that same chain space. And there we go. So if you count this, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you want to count the sides, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know you're on the right track. So which way up are we? Where's the front? Oh, there we go. There's my stitch marker. There's the bottom right hand corner. So we can see that's our row 4. We went upwards, so our hook is at the top. Row 5 will be coming down. Okay, so it's going to mark row 4. Let's put a line through row 4. Row 5, we're going to come down and do 5 white squares. Okay, and you're going to continue this until row 8. You're going to do row 8, which will be 8 white squares. Okay, 8 blocks. So I need you to do row 5, 6, 7 and 8. If you need a reminder, rewind the video a couple of minutes and follow the start. Just remember it's chain 6, double crochet into the 4th chain. Okay, so work up until you have 8 rows of white, and I'll join you back in a few minutes. Well, in a second. On video. See you soon. Okay, I'm back with you, having finished my row 8 of 8 white squares. So this is where I finished. So I'm going to turn it now so that it's on the right side with the bottom right hand corner down where it should be. Okay, so I have marked off all of my row 8, and now we are on to row 9, and you can see from where your loop is that we're going to be working down, and also it's an odd number row, so we're working downwards. So looking at this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares of white first. So what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and do 4 squares of white, and I'm going to join you for the last square and show you how we are going to bring in the new colour. Okay, so 4 white, and then we'll do the last one together, or whatever. White might not be your background colour, but I'm just using white here for purposes of illustration. So do your 4 white, and then we'll do the last one together. Okay, I've done 4 white squares. I'm going to do my 5th one, and I'm going to show you how to change colour on that last stitch. So I'm going to do my chain 3, and then I'm going to do 2 double crochets. Okay, now on the 3rd double crochet, just have your new colour ready. So I've got my new colour here. Okay, so on the last double crochet, we can change colour. There are 2 ways though. So I'm going to start my last double crochet, leave the last 2 loops on the hook, drop this colour down, and I'm going to drop that to the back. So this is the front, so I'm dropping it down to the back. We want to try and keep all the colour changes and tails at the back. So I'm going to leave a tail, hold on to that yarn there with my finger. You can see it's under this finger here. Bring this up and through that those last 2 loops of that last colour. And that's how you typically change colour if you're changing colour mid row on any kind of project of stitch. If you're just doing regular double crochet rows, you would change colour that way, and then come across to the next block and do your slip stitch, and then just pull that tail down nice and tightly, and then you would continue your next block as usual. Okay, so let me show you that once more. So you have your chain 3 and 2 double crochets. I'm going to do a 3rd double crochet, and I'm going to leave the last 2 loops of that double crochet on the hook, drop my white down to the back, making sure it is the back and I've got the front facing me, and then I'm going to bring this one up, leave a tail, pop it at the back, and pull through those last 2 loops, and then do the slip stitch into the chain 3 on the next square and pull that tail down. And you can give a slight tug on that white just to pull those stitches in as well. Excuse me, I've got such a croaky throat. Excuse me. And then you would continue your next block as usual with your chain 3. Okay, so that's one way you can change colour. And I'm going to show you the second way you can change colour when we change colour in a moment. So we have now done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks of white, and now we've got 1, 2, 3 blocks of the beige, 3 blocks of the pearl. So we're going to do those 3 blocks as usual with the new colour. You might just want to hold on to that tail until you've done a couple of stitches. So just start this new block with your chain 3 and then do your 3 double crochet and do 3 blocks, and I will join you to do the next colour change. Okay, so I've done my 3 blocks of beige, and I'm just going to mark those off, and then we have 1 block of white. Now remember, we dropped our white up here. Okay, where are we? Here we go. We dropped it up here. So we are going to bring in our bobbin of white, and this bobbin of white we will be using on these stitches down here. Okay, so these blocks down here will all be done with this bobbin, and these ones up here will be done with this existing yarn. Okay, so we're going to bring this bobbin in, and I'm going to show you the second way you can change colour. Okay, and I'm just going to lay that there. I could clip it to my table or anywhere. As I'm not going to have too many ends of yarn, I'm not too worried. When you get to using lots of colour changes, you kind of need to make a system. But for now, we're okay. Okay, so I've done this complete block of stitches, okay? So the previous way we went into the last 2 loops of the last double crochet. This way, what we're going to do is slip stitch with the existing colour, okay? Okay, so ignore what I just said. I was confusing myself there. So what we're going to do is we're not slip stitching with this colour. I just got myself confused. So you've got the loop on your hook from the colour you just used. And then what you're going to do is take the end of your new colour and again leave a tail because you need that to sew in. Just hold that at the back as you have done previously. And then you're going to take this colour and you're going to pull it through that existing loop, okay? And then go into your next block and do your slip stitch with that new colour. And then you are just going to, see this big loop here? You're going to find that colour and pull that down nice and tight. Okay, pull that down nice and tight, that white tail at the back, nice and tight, and there you go. And then you'll just need to hold this tail here, this white tail, until you've done some of your first block. And then you'll continue your block in exactly the same way as normal. So, it's entirely up to you. I'll show you this way once more, especially as I confused you at the start. So let me just get my loop back, pulled that down quite tightly. Okay, so what we're going to do, we've got our hook in that loop of our last colour. We're going to take the tail of the new colour, leave a little length at the back for sewing in, pull this new colour through the loop of the last colour, and holding the tail secure still, slip stitch into the block next to as you usually would, and then pull down on the old colour to tighten. Okay, you need to tighten that up nicely, nice and tight as you can, and then pull that white tail as tight as you can too. And then hold on to that white tail just until you've secured. So start with your chain 3 and then do the rest of your block. And there you go. So I'm going to take that out. So this was our second way of colour changing, if my camera focuses. There we go. So this is our second way of going through the loop. And this was our first way of going into the last 2 loops. Okay, so have a go at both ways and see which way you prefer. And the best thing I can advise is that you stick to the same way all the way through. Okay, see which way works best for you. So let me mark off that last square, and all we've done is we've left this first white just hanging at the back. This is the back of our work. We've got the first white hanging at the back there. And then we've left the beige hanging here. And now we've got our new white here. Okay, so the next row is going to be worked up. And that's row 10. We need to do 1 white and then 1, 2, 3, 4 beige. So do your 1 white and then change to your beige. I will come back and show you how you can pick up this yarn. Okay, so I'm going to do my 1 square of white and then I'll show you picking up. Okay, so I'm going to show you joining this because it can be a bit confusing when you're joining with the colours and stuff. So I finished this 1 block of white, and then as before I'm going to flip up the work and I'm going to join into here with a slip stitch. Okay, and then this yarn here, and I drop this white down, I'm going to leave it at the back of my work. This is the back. Remember, there's no stitch marker there, so this is the back. So I'm going to leave this at the back. And then I'm going to pick up this beige and I'm going to bring it across. Actually, sorry, this needs to be at the front, ready to pick up on the next round. So I'm going to bring this beige across and join there. Pull that white down nice and tightly. And then I've just got this little strand of beige going across the top. So I'm going to work over that. So I'm going to do my chain 3. And then I'm going to work into this chain space and I'm going to work over that strand to hide that. Okay. So that's the way I like to join my yarn when I'm in the middle of a piece of work and it's not the new ball or bobbin. Okay, so I've just pulled that white down tight and done that square. So then I'm going to join to the next square. And how many did I say we need? We need 1, 2, 3, 4. So continue with your 4 squares. And I will see you at the end of 4 squares of beige. Okay, I've done my 4 blocks of beige and now it's time to bring in the white. Let me just mark off these squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares of white now. So here's our white that we dropped earlier when we brought in the beige. So we're going to bring this up and through this loop. Okay, now this is why we needed to leave this colour at the back, because this is the back and you can see there's a tiny piece of yarn there. When we take it in here to do the slip stitch, there will be a tiny piece of yarn. Just pull this beige down. So there's a tiny piece of yarn here. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. There we go, tiny piece. And that would be on the front of your work if you had the yarn at the front. Okay, so I like to try and leave my yarn at the back of my work if possible, so that any of these little pieces are on the back rather than the front. Okay, so do your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks of white. 5. And then, so 5 blocks of white for this row, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks for the next row. Okay, so finish this row with 5 and then start the next row with 5 and then I'll join you back. Okie dokie, I've done those 5 going back up and then 5 on the next row. So it's time to bring in our beige and do 5 blocks of beige. So just drop this white down to the back. This is the front, so I'm dropping it down to the back. I've got my beige here, and what I'm going to do is bring it across. I'm going to hold this block next to, bring this across, and then pull that white down nice and tightly. And then do my slip stitch into the next block with my new beige, or existing beige. And then again, I have a little piece of beige going across the top of this stitch, this block. So I'm going to just work over that. So do my first block and work over that piece of yarn to hide it. There we go, all hidden inside my stitches. So that's my first block. I need to do 4 more and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 altogether, and then change again to do your white. So I'll join you back just to show you how to change back to your white. Okay, so do 5 blocks of this beige in total. Okay, I have 5 blocks of beige, and then I'm going to bring my white up and through this loop. But as I've shown you before, you can do it through the last 2 loops. I'm sorry, I've been showing you the way I prefer, but I'll just show you the other way once more. So drop that colour down with your last 2 loops on your hook, bring your next colour in through those 2 loops, just pull that a little tighter, and then do your slip stitch into the next block, and there you go. So do 1 block of white for the end of this row, and then you want 1 block on the next row. So finish this row with 1 block and then a block to start the next row. Okay, so it's time to bring in the beige again. So I'm just going to turn this and flip up my work and join. Now I'm joining because that's the way I prefer to change my colours, but you can do it differently if you wish. So I'm going to drop that one down at the back. So I'm going to make sure this is at the back, so I just brought it over the top there, around there. Okay, so it's, leave that there, bring the beige over and join into that loop there. Just pull that down, and then again you're going to work over that strand as before, and you're going to do 6 blocks of beige. 6 blocks. Okay, 6 blocks later, we're going to swap back to our white. So drop this one down, bring your white in, through and slip stitch. Slip stitch. Pull that tight and continue for 5 blocks of white. You want to do 5 blocks of white here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the next row. So 5 on this row and 5 to start the next row. Okay, so I've done the 5 to end one row, and then I've done the first 5 of the next row, and then we're going to do 6 beige. So bring your beige over down here, bring it over, and as I'm going to do, bring it through that loop, pull that down. Make sure you don't have a really long piece of this, because remember you're going to work over it, and then do that slip stitch. Okay, or do the change that you prefer, and then work 6 blocks of this colour, and then I'll join you for changing back to the white. I did say I would take you through all the colour changes, and I'm going to stick to my word. So 6 of this, and then we'll change. Okie dokie, 6 of the beige we've done, and now it's time to drop the beige down to the back and bring your white back over. So pick up your white and bring it over and through, or through those last 2 loops if you prefer. Pull that white down tight if you're doing it my way, and then slip stitch into that beige, and then we're going to work over that white for this next block. And we're going to do 2 blocks of white, and then you're going to start the next row with 2 blocks of white. There we go, 2 blocks and 2 blocks. And now it's time for 7 blocks of beige. So drop your white down, bring your beige across, oops, try not to get tangled. Bring your beige across and pull that down and do your slip stitch into your chain 3 with your beige. Okay, and then you're going to do 7 blocks of beige. Okay, 7 blocks of beige, and then we're going to do 5 blocks of white. So drop this beige down, bring your white over and through. Okay, join into the next block, and away you go with 5 blocks of white. And then you're going to do the first block of the next row in white, and then we're going to do something a bit different. Okay, so 5 here, 1 on the next row, and then I'll join you back. Okay, I just thought it was a good place to stop and talk to you about counting your blocks carefully, because I'm working on a very big c2c pattern at home, and sometimes I've got some very long lengths of sort of like 15-16 stitches blocks, and sometimes I don't count properly. So what I would say is, when you do a block of colour or a section of colour, just before you start your next block, just you'll count them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just double check that you've got the right amount, because if you, I mean, I have got the right amount here, but if I've finished here and I'm like, oh, I've done 5, but I've still got another step to go. What do I do? Or if you finish your last block and then you're like, oh, I need to do another block, where do I go? So if I just do this last block here of the row, and this is 5, but say if I had got 4 and it's like, oh, I need to do another one, but where am I going to do it? Then I would look back and see, oh no, I made a mistake down here. I did one too many. So don't panic. All you need to do is just gently undo your work. Just pull the yarn gently. When you get down to the colour that you change to, just then gently pull that yarn as well, and just gradually undo your colours, and then recount, do those blocks again, and you should be on the right track. Okay, there's nothing worse than getting to the next row and finding that you've made a mistake, and you've got to undo a couple of rows where you've got about 50 blocks in total. I've had to do that. It's quite painful and quite sad to have to undo all that work. So count, and you should be right. So now if I've completely put you off, you had 7 of your beige, and then you did 5 of the white, and then you're going to do another 1 of white to start the next row. Okay, there we go. I've done my first block of the next row, but I haven't joined it yet. I'm just going to show you down here. I have a bit of a yarn tangle going on with my 3 ends. So what I'm going to do is, I don't tend to worry about it too much until I get, you know, sort of every so often I'll stop and I'll untangle them. So now is the perfect time to untangle, because we're going to introduce those extra bobbins in this next row. So if you've got a bit of a tangle going on, then I suggest you untangle them now, and then we'll continue.